Dhananjay, now you can start speaking on the topic. Please.
Namaskar. Good evening. Life is, on one hand, a free flow. In some sense, we don't seem to have control over anything. We seem to be accepting what comes to us. There are so many forces at work, and what we will meet with tomorrow is not so certain. In that sense, life is full of uncertainties. But from another angle of view, it seems that we are the creators of this world. We are the world. What's our relationship with the world, with the society? Most of the times, a large number among us think very narrowly. Somebody may just think he is responsible for his little family. Even if somebody truly cares for the entire family, that is a lot these days. Most people, in their heart of hearts, care for just themselves. Even pretending to care for their family, their spouse or children, is a way to ensure that they take good care of him or her. There is what is called intelligent selfishness. When one is very intelligent, that intelligent person's selfishness doesn't show itself as selfishness. The intelligent person creates an image of himself as being interested in everybody, in serving everybody, and so on. But below the surface, he actually feathers his own nest. We have an interesting topic this evening: responsibility. As I began speaking, I said, sometimes it seems to us that who are we to make a difference in this world? If we can take good care of our health, if we spend our day in a wise manner, so our health is not jeopardized, our finances are stable, etc. We think so much about ourselves, and then it appears to us that we are not truly responsible for anybody else in the world. That, of course, is a big lie. As long as we expect even a little from others, it becomes clear right away. Then they expect from us, and life is actually a whole lot of give and take. It is wrong for us to imagine that we must just take as much as possible from everybody and be happy, as it is to imagine that we are the big givers. We will never take from others. We are some superior beings meant only to give others, serve others, help others. We don't need any help from anybody. We are not such small people stretching our hand for help or support. Suppose somebody imagines that way, that is also wrong. An actual and a factual assessment of life brings to us the understanding that there are times when we give, there are times when we take. We must take, no choice. We have to take. The word responsibility evokes many sentiments, many thoughts. Are we really in watertight compartments to say we have no responsibility towards others? Isn't life so interconnected that even things that happen in Ukraine or Israel or in the United States affect us? And what we do here can affect people in another corner of the world too. This interconnectedness is, in fact, a very thought provoking truth of life. So let's not go very far. Right in the context of our family and our workplace, our society, where we are connected with a few people to our own knowledge, sometimes unknowingly we are connected, that's different. But in our list of people whom we invite to a program at our place, and in the lists of many people who invite us, we are found in those lists. So there is a certain connectedness which is very visible, which is very much on the surface. But then it's a good way to begin. If we are connected to 100 people and 100 people feel we are connected to them, they are connected to us, in this so-called social network, what is our feeling for others? Do we feel responsible for something that goes wrong in their lives? Let's say we know somebody and his son commits suicide, whereas our son is doing very well. Our son is drawing a very big salary. He and his wife both are the envy of the town. But then one morning we get the news that the son of one of our close friends hanged himself. Can we say that, oh, that is so stupid, nobody in my family would do that? They are all such over emotional people. Why did they do that? Let's not waste our time on what they did. Let's continue looking after ourselves. In this way, if we talk or if we even think, it would be nothing less than utter insensitivity. We are in such a shell of our own living. And this is not just philosophizing. Really speaking, the son of that friend of ours committed suicide, probably because he could not stand the progress and prosperity of our family, our son and daughter-in-law, and so on. For many a time they met in parties and get-togethers, and this disease called comparison and competition took his life. That boy compared himself against his own wish with our son and felt that, oh, I am such a useless person. I am an utter failure, and so on. Sometimes somebody who might have met us just 2 or 3 times in life also might draw a conclusion looking at us. Either, as I explained in the earlier example, either being envious of us, or some other time, in comparison, the opposite also happens. We apparently are a failure, and somebody looks at us and feels very proud. That person looks down at us. That person pities us. Long back, I heard a quote from somebody. Some of us have the habit of reading every quote, quotable quotes. Abraham Lincoln or Pandit Nehru, Gandhi or Nelson Mandela, Albert Einstein or somebody from under the down under, Australia or New Zealand, from different walks of life. If someone is famous and he has said something, even Bollywood stars also draw our attention. Dilip Kumar made a statement. Oh, Amitabh Bachchan on his 82nd or 83rd birthday had this to say. What did he say? Bachchan, Big B of Bombay. So we are eager. So I read a statement once. It is better to be envied than pitied. Even this day, earlier on this day, I was thinking that do I get unnecessarily drawn to quotations just because it is printed on some magazine, just because it comes in some newspaper, somebody whose name comes in newspaper, you know, to our foolish minds comes across as being very special. And if something is printed in Times of India, it must have some truth. Not necessary. What is printed in Times of India or Washington Post, and that may be said by some celebrity, could be utterly false. So, really speaking, my 2 cents in this matter is even whether it is to be envied, somebody envies us, or somebody pities us, both are deplorable. Is it possible for us to live neither envying anybody nor pitying anybody? Who are we to envy anyone? Who are we to envy, pity anyone? Especially, who are we to pity anyone? We presume that we are doing well. Are we? Maybe we have not really noticed the mess, the disorder, the contradictions in our life. We are imagining that we are on a high level and these guys are failing, making mess of themselves. Who knows? Whatever. So, going back to that example one last time, who knows? That friend or the son of that friend committed suicide, and maybe a few hours before he committed suicide, our son was in his thoughts and he could not stand the feeling how big a failure he was and how successful our son was or is. So, in small and big contexts, even in working together as a little team of 3 or 4 people, we have a tremendous responsibility of ensuring that we are not caught in a narrow minded outlook. We may think sometimes, oh, who knows our thoughts? If my thoughts are narrow minded, that's none of anybody's business. My thoughts are my thoughts. Whether I have vulgar thoughts or noble thoughts, why should they bother? No, that would be very immature for us to think so. If we are cheerful, if we are pleasant in and out, if we are truly caring, if we are sensitive, then it's a great gift we give to ourselves and to others too. Really, there is nothing so private or personal. We think that our thoughts are very private. But to use a traditional language, which involves some amount of belief, beyond what we say or beyond what our face says, beyond our body language, beyond what we write, what we do, there are presumably certain vibrations about us. All of us, sometimes mystics use this language. Whether it is literally true is a different matter. All of us are bundles of vibrations interacting with each other. Even if you and I are standing without exchanging a single word in an elevator, in a lift, my vibrations will affect you. Your vibrations will affect me. When you look at that, we owe a lot to everybody. And everybody owes to us also. It's such a highly interconnected network of human existence. Therefore, things like cooperation in a team are not just for material profit. Cooperation, goodwill, exchanging things with each other, resources, and so on, sincerely wishing each other good can go a long way to make everyone happy. And the opposite of it, knowingly or unknowingly, harms everybody. This is the spiritual truth. In one of his talks, Krishnaji, while speaking with some international committees that he had formed, expresses his concern about what will happen after he passes on. So it must have been towards 84 or 85, as you know. He moved on in 1986. So before that, with much sincere emotion in his voice, he apparently said to an international group of office bearers or so-called committee members, and he wondered whether those people who were drawn to him during his lifetime would turn everything in a short while after his passing away into something mechanical. Will all his centers, his schools, etc., become like one more form of some church where Wednesday this service is held and Sunday morning that service is held? On such and such days, such things are celebrated, such things are observed. He was very concerned. And he also said how he felt tremendously responsible for the whole world. To understand Krishnaji is extremely hard actually. Sometimes what he says makes us imagine that he perhaps inside him thinks of himself as an utterly common man. Like when he starts a talk, he says, the speaker is no authority. The speaker is not sitting on a little high platform because of any factor by which he is superior. No, it's only for convenience of communication that all of you see me and I see you. Just to facilitate that, I am sitting on a high platform. I am just one of you. And for heaven's sake, don't think I am speaking to you. Let us together explore, he would say. Then you can imagine. I had attended only one talk by him, standing way behind in a large group that had gathered on the lawns of Vasanta Vihar. I didn't know Vasanta Vihar that time. Some friends took me and I didn't know where I went. All I knew is I stood and heard a talk by him, and much of it went above my head. That's another story. But if I were to listen to his words in an actual lecture very attentively, when he says, "Let us explore together," for a moment I would make the mistake of imagining, oh, yeah, we are all on the same plane, we are exploring together. Well, I am also, in some sense, as mature as he is, and so on. But it's not so. Sometimes he made us feel, or in his lectures, he makes us feel that we are all one. In a spiritual sense, it may be, but going by the capacity to dive deep into certain topics, we were nowhere near him. But in certain other areas, like what I am about to quote before you, he says that I will be concerned about, I'm quoting a couple of sentences from K. I will be concerned about whether it is merely a small group that are holding the vase in which the flower is growing. They may be holding it in a small little group, but I want to throw the seeds all over the world. End of quote. Some of you may be thinking, now I am speaking, not the quote. Some of you may be thinking, he said to them, international committee members, that small group of you are holding a small flower vase in which a small flower is blossoming. There the matter ends. But he said to them, I want to throw the seeds all over the world. That is my responsibility. It doesn't matter who understands or who doesn't understand. Quoting him again here. But it is my responsibility to sow the seed wherever it will fall, on a piece of dry earth or in fertile soil. That's what Krishnaji said. Look at his consciousness. Krishnaji's consciousness had sort of embraced all humanity. He did not want psychological mess anywhere. He was least concerned with the mere material growth. In those days, in the early 80s, he had seen through what mischief this machine intelligence could do. Today we talk so much about artificial intelligence, though he did not use exactly that word, but the intelligence of the computers, machine intelligence, those were the words he used, and he was expressing his concern whether machines would become more and more clever and human beings would become more and more idiotic. Human beings would become like machines, and machines would become like human beings almost, with emotions and sentiments and so on. So, responsibility, let's come aside from Krishnaji. If we think sincerely, responsibility is both a great privilege and a big burden. Sometimes we wish we were just left alone. But life doesn't leave us alone. We may say to somebody, we may say to a group of people, leave me alone and shut the door against them. But the fact of life is, whether you keep your door open or you shut your door, either way, you are connected to others. You are opening the door and honestly or pretentiously welcoming them. Please come in, come in. Wow, you all have come today to my house. What a joy. I may be pretending, or I may be genuinely welcoming a bunch of you. Or I shut the door saying, leave me alone. I am fed up of all of you. I don't want to see your faces for next 1 week. Either way, there is a certain connection. To make matters simple, I will share one last point. in enhanced awareness, in a greater understanding of life, in a high plane operation of our intelligence, we will not look at ourselves as isolated. We will directly perceive the fact that our being irresponsible damages ourselves, our physical health, our mental health, our well being, and our being irresponsible will definitely affect the physical well being, emotional well being, economic well being, and all kinds of well being of others. The so called others and the so called we are interconnected through some invisible paths, in invisible ways. Therefore, let me end my submissions saying we must repeatedly examine what our responsibility is towards life itself, where we and others are traveling on the same boat as though. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Harshad sir, your views are welcome. Please come forward.
Yes. Are you able to hear my voice?
Yeah, very well.
Thank you, Swamiji. You spoke very well, very clear. And this responsibility, it means ability to respond well. And if we are not clear, then whatever we do will create problems around us. Problems within us creates problem in relationship. So I feel that our primary responsibility is to ourselves, to be very clear. Now, when I was telling a story of Buddha in one of my class in Rishi Valley, and I told students that Buddha left his wife, palace, even his child. And then one girl said Buddha was selfish. So I said, why do you say that Buddha was selfish? This girl said that Buddha was selfish because he did not care about his wife and child. If he wanted to live palace, he should not have married. So this girl was looking from her point of view, and that is the view of many people, that our primary responsibility is to our family. But then Buddha's point of view was that he was not clear within himself when he saw a dead body and an old man and a sannyasi, and he felt that if he was not clear within himself, how can he help his family, his kingdom? And he had a lot of responsibility in the palace as a prince. So he needed a time to be by himself. And so he left and like that. So I feel that Buddha did a very good work later on. He helped many people. If he had lived in the palace as a prince, he could have been a good king, but he would not have been able to help people psychologically. And Buddha had a clarity of seeing things clearly, how the problems arise in relationship. And so Buddha was able to help many people to remove suffering from the world. And so his responsibility was with the whole world. And as Swamiji said, that whatever we do, wherever we are related. We may not be related physically to people around much, but our thought waves affect people. So this, whatever we think, it creates waves around us. And if we are in a good state, clear, then maybe people around us also get affected. And so our primary responsibility is to have a healthy body and a healthy mind. And once that is there, then whatever we do, we will do it well. And each of us living in everywhere, we have the rights and we have responsibility. And Krishnamurti used to say that teaching is the highest profession. And I was a teacher in a school, Rishi Valley school, and Krishnaji was coming and talking about responsibility, and he was challenging us that what are you doing in your classroom? Are you just teaching physics and mathematics, or you are also helping students to broaden their viewpoint about their responsibility? So teaching mathematics and physics is easy. Many people can do it, but to live a different way with clarity, with affection, with having good relationship with students, with parents, with other teachers is very important, because what we are, that it will reflect in the relationship. So again, I would come back to this. Our responsibility is to primarily to ourselves, to be very clear, to be happy, to enjoy whatever we do. If a teacher is teaching just because it is a job and to earn money, then it is very little. It it means not responsible, just teaching a subject and looking after one's family. That is not all. And um, why teaching is the greatest profession? Because the quality of people who come out from schools, college, university, that quality will affect the whole world. So, why we have problems in India? We read every day in the newspaper so much corruption in politics, in everywhere, in religion, in education, everywhere. There are people are interested in having money for themselves, and even if they have more money, they want even more. And 1 crore, 2 crore, 5 crore, not enough. And this uh, corruption goes into thousands of crores. And the way the politicians are elected, even people who have criminal background, they are elected by people because they spend a lot of money, they give bribe to get votes. So if the education system is not well, if the people who are coming out from schools, college, university, if they haven't learned what it means to live happily without corruption, without violence. And that is what Krishnaji was talking with little children, that don't be corrupt. And sometimes the student used to argue with him, saying that, sir, if we are not corrupt, we cannot live, we cannot get a job. And Krishnaji used to even say, don't get job. But then the student will say, but then I can't live. And Krishnaji even was so passionate and says, don't live, but don't be corrupt. So Krishnaji was feeling very, very strongly. And student used to say that, sir, there are people who are looking after you, rich people. We have to survive in society. And if the society is corrupt, how can we live in a corrupt society without corruption? So, in a way, I would say that yes, students were correct, but there are many ways one can earn the livelihood, enough money without being corrupt. And that is the real intelligence to, to have a profession which one can live without corruption. And we have the response, even I think I see in India, people throw everything, garbage on the street, and they say it is the responsibility of the municipality. And the people in the municipality, they see that the streets are dirty, the roads are broken with lot of pits, but they don't do any work. Only if they get some more money, they will do the work. So uh, responsibility is for everyone, a engineer or a doctor. If the doctor is corrupt or a businessman is corrupt, because what happens that many times they mix some chemicals in the food which are very harmful for people, and but the businessman wants to make money, and so they do many harmful things for society. So whenever there is a corruption within oneself, a corruption means the desire to earn a lot of money for oneself, for one's family. That is the corruption. But then there are good businessmen also. They do very good work. They build hospitals, they build schools. So they are responsible businessmen. They do it. But some of them, they do it because they get some name. But the real businessman who does good work, not because he want to become famous, but he does because he feels that it is his responsibility to help poor people and to give education, free education, to give free medical help, and so on. So we have the rights and we have a responsibility, even the responsibility of following traffic rules. And people don't follow traffic rules because when I walk on the streets, people are just going wherever they find a little space, they take their vehicle there, no rules. So it is there everywhere, this a sense of irresponsibility. And if it is there in the education, it will be there in the business, it will be there in the politics, it will be there in every profession. So ultimately, the responsibility is to our own self. We don't have much control over other people's life and their mind. As Swamiji said, that we are affected by many forces around us. But only when we are intelligent, we are able to see clearly, we can see those influences, and maybe we can avoid such influences if we are fully aware. And then when we are responsible to our own body and mind and have a good, healthy, happy life, then we can also be responsible for the environment, for planting trees, creating beauty in in the cities and everywhere. So I have said enough things right now. Thank you very much.
Pradeep, please come forward and share your thoughts. Pradeep
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, audible, visible, both.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, friends. Very good evening and a very good topic today again. Although Swamiji has covered most of the points, then whatever little was left at practical level, because Harshadji was closely associated with JK for a long time and a teacher at heart also. He has also expressed his views about responsibility. Whatever little came to my mind, I have jotted down in this thing to myself. Responsibility is closely linked to all my actions. To all my actions at all the levels. My family, my friend circle, my neighbors, my possessions, space occupied by me, trees planted by me. You see, caring life in general. That is what responsibility. I take it as my responsibility. Now, JK has lived his life immaculately with all these responsibilities. If you see and review the whole thing again, and that how he lived at every level, how careful, how caring he was. So it was something to be seen, to live that type of life. Other than this, he was incessantly working out the possibility of carving a new mind, a novel way of schooling and education. The problem JK faced, I was reading that latest book of theirs, Foundation, the perfume of the teachings, and beautifully written. And of course, there are so many repetitions in the sense because he is all the time not convinced with whatever answers were there from trustees. He went on saying, no, you are not understanding my point. You are not reached that point. The problem JK faced, how to impart this sense of responsibility in students and transfer of and trustees of JK Foundation, so that there is one mind. He has used this word beautifully. There should be one mind. Let there be people from US, Canada, Finland, all the places, Sanin, Rajghat, but ultimately there should be one mind, means absolute concentration of the whole energy, not dissipating it. This was and this continues to be almost an impossible uh, uh, goal, or you can say a ever fresh goal. In a way, he's telling about freedom from the past, none from your knowledge, nothing from your knowledge. He went on cutting it. So you come to that level of freshness of intelligence. You see? So that is what I have think. I will just read out 5-6 lines about, because this topic is also, you are responsible for the treasure. When he is discussing with the trustees, this chapter is, you are responsible for the treasure. Treasure, he talked about it as treasure. He talked about it as his child, taking care of his child, and all the rest of it. Then he says beautifully, Hmm. 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 Is it still audible?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pradeep sir voice is not coming,
He's searching 6 lines.
but he is not in the meeting.
Might have gone to
So we should ask Shakti ji or somebody else.
Shakti ji. No, nobody else. Nobody other than him. Shakti ji, please come forward.
Yes, sir. When I was reading Krishnamurti, I saw that at a place he says that if you are working on your anger, you are working on the anger of humanity. Working on anger includes watching anger, watching whatever term emotions, watching thoughts, the word within. So it was not a selfish pursuit. And I also noticed that whenever, most of the time, I am unaware, inattentive, my actions and thoughts are more and more selfish. If I am seeking pleasure, I am becoming less and less affectionate. So I saw it as a responsibility to be watchful, aware in life, without forcing it. Also, as we all know, he said that being aware of one's own inattention. So it is a great responsibility. And I'm thankful to Krishnamurti for that. Thank you, sir.
Shall I speak something?
No,
Or you want Pradeep to continue?
Let if he has come, let him finish. Important 6 lines he was going to read. If he is there, let him finish first, and then afterwards you. Modak, is he here? Pradeep ji is here or not?
You are muted. Modak sir, you are muted.
Now it is okay. Sorry,
Please,
what
please,
happened was
please. Okay,
I was
okay.
not
Okay, you read 6 lines, please.
because I was not responsible enough to
Yeah.
put the right plug, and ultimately when batteries went off. So, so I'll just read those 4, 5, 6 lines.
Yeah.
Let me not read it because I'm not getting those
Okay,
lines. But
Thank you.
in
Thank you.
short,
Let
in
Waghmare
essence,
say.
in
Let
essence, he was talking about that fire in you, that intensity in you, which has to be transferred to students and your fellow beings or whatever it is. So it was so difficult even there at that time. And I feel even today that thing we all are feeling, whether that fire, which that fire that consumed JK would be transferred to us and consumed us as well, so that we have something which can be, if someone comes and asks that you have read these things, you have seen videos, you have, because I haven't met personally, I haven't heard him also personally, but he was talking to those people who were very close to him, and for years together they were they were in administration in schools. So he was talking to them. Can that fire can that fire mixes with our intensity, our energy, so much so that the same perfume, he has used that perfume word, that is very interesting, because perfume also cannot be written in words. You can say it is something like that, but exactly he wanted to share this to especially to the trustees, so that a group of few people can take care of the whole circle, all these foundation schools. And that's all I want. I didn't get that. But anyway, thank you very much, friends, giving me another chance to
Thanks,
share.
thanks, thanks, thanks. Let Waghmare say. Waghmare, please come forward.
Are you able to hear my voice clearly?
Your voice. Some problem with your voice. Please check it.
Is it clear now?
Yeah. It is now clear.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Before I would like to speak very to the point only, as time is fleeting. I wonder. I would first quote JK and then I will express my views. I wonder what we mean by responsibility. These are JK's words. There is a feeling of responsibility and feeling responsible for. Responsibility to understand seems to take a great deal of energy. So here he has used two words, which are interesting. One is holy and another is energy. And how to you have or obtain or come upon this great deal of energy? Can I do anything to the world before I change myself? No. His answer was no. He missed to say what I understood, that first you have to change yourself and then only you can go for the thing which he says, the whole world is you. Then you can understand energetically the whole, what is he means by the you are the world. Now there are 3-4 similar words or very close words. One is duty, another is liability, and third is rule. Out of which responsibility and role, I would like to give importance to these two words. What is your role? Responsibility is heavy, and what is your? We also we have to understand JK whenever was about to was talking about responsibility, what was his reference? Duty. My views are, it automatically means this can happen only when a man is free from his self. Here JK also says one, you have to be free from yourself. Practically speaking, the expected work, in my views, is what should be and not what is. A man has to be free first from his self, then the creation or activity may take place to change the world. That too, interested in change. Means if the other persons are interested in change, then only you can try to change them. Otherwise, you can do your job. They are if they are interested, they will change, or they will not listen to you. Free person may try to change, but as in case of Duryodhan in Mahabharata, or the case of Arvindo, who tried to force Hitler psychologically, we know Duryodhan never accepted change. Though he aware of every aspects and consequences of war. In case of Hitler, he did suicide after he faced severe depression. Now, what was the effect of Arvind's psychic pressure on him? We can guess. As Gita says, a man has to become in line with his dharma. First, there will be becoming as per his dharma, means he has to know his role in the whole thing. His action.
Sir, some problem with your voice.
Voice is breaking.
The voice is breaking, right? Chidanandji, may I request you to comment on this? Because it is already 7:05. You are most
Sure.
welcome. Please.
Sure.
Yeah. Welcome.
Yeah. So, first of all, I found all the speakers adding valuable inputs to this topic. I feel that I myself went a little bit abstract level, and Harshad ji rightly provided certain concrete, fillers to the whole topic. So, talking about corruption, we generally say others are corrupt, and what can we do? So, we also need to be like them, and so on. We throw the blame on them. But actually, we have to double check on that. All together create the society. There is a whole lot of influencing each other. And the so-called movement of the self is behind our forgetting or wanting to forget our responsibility. Sometimes we don't want to be even reminded about our responsibility. Somebody says, is it not your responsibility to, before even they complete the sentence, we say, don't tell me all that. Because the urge in us to somehow grab what is available to us, somehow save our skin, as the expression goes, is too strong. No wonder Krishnaji at times said, you got to be vulnerable. Rather than safeguard and build a fort around us to prevent anybody from attacking us, Krishnaji said, be vulnerable. The word vulnerable is not a popular word at other places. Suppose a king's fort is vulnerable, then the enemies will break that fort and get in and kill the king. So the fort should not be vulnerable. But Krishnaji goes on a different route and goes to very deep level of human consciousness. Unless we are vulnerable, make it clear, I'll say this and conclude my comment. Unless we are vulnerable, we are never open to constructive criticism. If we build a stronger and stronger fort around us and do not let anybody say anything critical about us, then how will we change? It will be too late when we finally realize that we were at fault all along. When people were tried to advise us, we were not vulnerable, we were not receptive, in other words. Therefore, let me sum it up that this responsibility is a very all-encompassing topic. To live responsibility requires tremendous amount of alertness, humility, lack of ambition, lack of our own personal dreams and so on. We must do what is in the interest of all, what is good for all, and should not be too concerned about our becoming successful or famous or rich or this or that. Alas, that tendency or that aspiration for ourselves to become quote and unquote successful has ruined our own life too and damaged other lives too. In responsible living, we cannot be personally ambitious. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Dinesh Waghmare, if your voice is clear, please finish it.
Are you getting my voice now?
Yeah. Quite clear, quite clear.
Quite
Go on.
clear? Okay. So, what I was saying, that we do not know what is the effect of Arvind's psychic pressures on him, means Hitler. We can only guess. So basically, when we say you are the world, that is one way of looking at it. The other way is we are also having our individual choices. As per my views, as Gita says, a man has to become in line with his dharma, means he has to know his role in the whole game and activity should follow accordingly. Here, becoming is result of actions in line with his flowering as per inner traits, tendencies, parameters, virtues, etc. And he should go for the right action, which will help in both his growth and society's growth, as Swamiji said. his right becoming will automatically take him what his role in the society, and he should work as per his role to fulfill responsibility. Here, I would also like to say that what Krishnamurti has did. Krishnamurti has only done teaching work. He has not helped the poor people or the other people, and this was not his agenda. So his agenda was in line with his inner traits, parameters, etc. And his role was he was very clear about his role. As Harshad Parekh sir said, that one should be very clear. So first, one has to work on him. He has to go for self-knowing. He should know his role, and this role also depends on the resources, outer situation. Suppose you are in Ukraine, then the situation will be different, and your role will be different. Whereas if you are in India, your role is different. Your challenges are different, and you have to follow them. So role is very important in the this when we consider the responsibility. You can be responsible for every aspect of life, but what you have to do or what you can do depends on whatever resources you are available to you, and what is your strength, what is your weakness, what is your what are inputs you are having, what are resources you are having, etc., etc. Thank you.
Thank you. Prasad sir.
Swamiji, afterwards, please give your comment.
Let Prasad sir say something.
Namaste, sir.
Afterwards.
Please confirm.
I won't take much time. Firstly, I want to appreciate the word intelligent selfishness used by Swamiji. We are selfish, but at the same time, we conceal our selfishness intelligently. Even with our own family, we are sometimes we pretend. We are not really concerned about them, but we are concerned about about ourselves individually. I am concerned with myself. I am more concerned about myself than about the members of my family, even. So there is a kind of intelligent selfishness, which I think Swamiji is very validly has mentioned that. And then Krishnaji said somewhere, he gave a definition of home. He said, what is a home? Home is a place for which you feel responsible. He was referring to his stay in various places in the houses of some his hosts. And he had to feel responsible for that, for the home of those hosts. So ultimately, what is it that prevents us from being responsible? Krishnaji's concept of responsibility is, I think Harshadji has said, he wanted to spread his seed all over, the seed of his teaching all over. That is, he felt responsible for the entire world, not simply for his country or his tribe or his... And then there is a lot of sense in what Harshadji has said. That is, our primary responsibility is to ourselves. To keep yourself in good health, both mentally and physically, and to see that the fortress of selfishness within which we live, that is broken. And that task can be fulfilled only by yourself, not by any guru, not by any outsider. So we all live within a fortress without vulnerability. So that fortress can be it is that fortress that makes you responsible only for yourself and not for anybody else. That fortress can be, so the primary responsibility is to ourselves in that sense that you have to cleanse your mind, you have to cleanse your feelings. And then ultimately, I think Waghmare Sahib has said it, so long as you are in the bounds of yourself, you can't feel responsible for anybody or for anything. And what are those elements of the self? Your tradition, your memories, your attachments, your desires, your fears, all these things constitute yourself. So that self has to be nullified, and that job can be done only by yourself. But as Swamiji has said, it's a very encompassing topic. It encompasses everything, this topic of responsibility. And ultimately, because there is no sense of responsibility among us, we are corrupt in all sectors of our life. I don't want to expatiate further. So you come out of yourself, then only there is a sense of responsibility. Thank you, sir.
Jain sir, you are muted.
Adeen, please.
Yeah. Um, so on the topic of responsibility, so what do we consider responsibility as? So as someone already mentioned, responsibility is the ability to respond. So I don't think so it's so much as an ability in the sense that uh, psychologically, in the sense that it has to do with uh, training or knowledge. Of course, a doctor has to have all that knowledge, only then doctor will be able to respond to the patient at that moment correctly. But psychologically, it might be different. So the way I see it, the word responsibility and the word relationship is one and the same. So you cannot be responsible unless you feel related to that person. I don't mean blood relationship or anything like that, but there cannot be responsibility unless you feel a connection with the other person. And generally, what thought does is when we talk about responsibility, even in the family, it is like that. We are always pointing to the responsibility of the other people. So we might say, yeah, politicians are corrupt. So we are talking about their responsibility. So everywhere outside, only outside people, we are pointing out their responsibility. So that's what thought does. But I don't think so that talking about that is an act of responsibility itself, because you are asking others to change, and I don't think so that is possible. At least I don't believe I can change anybody or tell anybody or control anybody, or I don't know. Um, so responsibility is relationship, and relationship is only if I am able to connect to the other person, which means I am able to listen to the other person. So it has to do with sensitivity. So only in that connection, which is listening, you can call it awareness, understanding. That is responsibility. So if I'm unable to listen to another person and I'm only telling that person what they should do or they should not do, then I don't think so that is responsibility. I might feel that I'm responsible because I know and the other person doesn't know and I'm telling what they should do. But am I really understanding the situation? Am I listening? Am I sensitive? Am I open? So, yeah, generally we blame because we are coming. That's what thought does, and it feels it knows, and it feels that it needs to tell others what they should do. Whereas responsibility, I feel, is you don't tell others what to do, but I think what I felt was you don't tell the world what to do, but the world tells you what has to be done. If you are sensitive enough, you are listening, you're aware, and you have a connection. And in advance, we cannot know what has to be done. It is at that moment, if you are sensitive and you're able to listen, then that situation itself will tell, and you will respond accordingly. But without listening, you cannot respond. So that's what I feel on the topic of responsibility. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Ravi, please come forward.
Yes, sir. Am I
Okay.
audible, sir?
Yeah.
So the topic is the pondering of responsibility. So I think Chidanand Swami said that look at K consciousness, the Krishnamurti consciousness. But why should I see what is K consciousness? Why K is so important? It is I am important. You are important. Your consciousness, my consciousness is important. Whatever the content in my consciousness. It's not K. There is no K at all. So, and this one thing, Harshad Parekh said very beautiful things like, you know, as K said that don't don't live, but don't be corrupt. This is really shocking. And one thing, and there is one more thing he said that if there is corruption in education, then there is corruption in every field. It's very beautiful. So education is such important thing. And Pradeep sir said there should be one mind. But can there be one mind? Is there one mind? I see that this is it's a beautiful idea. It's, uh, so the point is not that you find there is a one mind or one whole mind. That but to sorry the point is not that there is one mind. But the point is, am I connected? My mind is one with every one of you, with my brother, with my wife, with my servant, with my colleagues. My mind is one with you. Has that connection, that love in that connection is it there or not? That is the only point. You cannot create one whole mind. This is something I think it's a beautiful idea, but it never happened. It's a I think the nature has created this thing, this chaos, but it is not your thing. And Chidanand Swami said that be vulnerable, which is again a very beautiful thing. That we talk so intelligently, so intellectually, and but in that talking, are we vulnerable or not? But am I not open to all the attacks you can do on me or I do on you? Are we not that naked or open? Not that we want to attack, but if there is a it's if there is a statement, if there is a statement. Uh, सॉरी मैं इसको एक्सप्लेन नहीं कर पा रहा. तो not that thing. It's not attacking. It's rather it's a beautiful thing. Rather it's a concern. It's a concern. If there is something, some pattern is wrong, and if the person is showing, I love to see how I respond, and I love to listen the person who can tell me that what wrong my pattern is doing all the time. I love to listen and understand it. That is the thing. That is. And Dinesh Waghmare said something, but your role in the society and responsibility, which is quite okay. But then Pradeep sir said that home is place in which you feel responsible. I think this responsibility to the whole world create the idea that the responsible to the whole world. Krishna is responsible. Rama is responsible. Mohammed is responsible. Krishnamurti is responsible. All the responsible people. But I see that this responsibility has created so much division in the human consciousness, including K. The K consciousness is now one of them. So there is that thing is there, and the element of irresponsibility, like I said, that attachment and desires. So this is Prasad sir speaks very beautifully. And then I see that why there is corruption. It's not that the corruption, whether the Modi is corrupt, whether the Rahul Gandhi is corrupt, whether the that person or this person is corrupt. It's not. They may be corrupt, they may not be corrupt. But the corruption is because we are like them. I am like them. That corruption is in me. That seed of that corruption is in me. To feel that thing in me, I think that thing creates responsibility, responsible action. That is one thing. Okay, thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Harshad sir, please end it by your comment. As
Okay.
moderators, your comment first.
Yes, I talked about the profession of teacher, the highest profession. But
Yes, sir.
before students come to the school, they are with the parents. So if the parents are really responsible, then teachers can do something. But what happens that the parents, what I have seen, parents, the family is not together. Sometimes there is a divorce and the children are sent to residential school and children are affected by what is happening in the family. And so parents are most responsible. If we want to have a very happy life, the responsibility of the parents is the greatest. And Krishnaji used to say that our responsibility is to be individual. Means what he said by individual, it means one who is not divided within oneself in the form of religious ideology or nationality, feeling that you are a human being. That is foremost. You are a human being, and then maybe you are Indian or American. So that kind of feeling, when people have, then there will not be any war on based on religion and nationality. So of course, there are many teachers, Krishnamurti, Buddha, Christ, and so many great teachers came. They talked about how to live happily, healthily, but somehow it affects very, very few sensitive people, and they are able to help some few people who come into contact with them, and the humanity as a whole goes on with violence and corruption. So I don't see much that as an individual we can change the whole humanity, but to some extent we can change ourselves, and to that extent, we affect people around us a little bit. Okay, so I think that is all I have to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chidanandji, you are there. Next week, you have to take the topic.
I will speak next week.
Next
Now,
week.
now I
That's
am
why
very
I am.
happy.
That's why I am leaving you at 7:30.
Okay, okay.
So I can
I,
listen you
I
fresh.
take responsibility for a little
Oh,
speaking
no,
next
no.
week.
I am against responsibility. It should be out of love only. If
All right.
everything goes out of love, there is no need of coverage from Mahabharata to UNESCO. No need. Views are like that.
Are you saying love equals irresponsibility?
No, never. Never. You behave, vulnerability comes in love only.
Oh,
If you
good.
take it,
Then
thank
we
you.
are on the same, we are on the same page. Thank you. Good
Thank
night,
you.
everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Modak, please end it now.